As leaders in medical skincare, you are not only advancing science and patient outcomes, you are also shaping the public conversation around skin health. In a digital-first world, that conversation is happening faster, louder, and more visibly than ever before. Today, we are diving into the powerful intersection of public relations and influencer marketing in all of your fields. Two dynamic tools that can elevate your practice, build trust, and connect authentically with the audiences who matter most when done right. Whether you're representing a clinical practice, a medical brand, or launching new products of your own, understanding how to strategically engage with media and digital influencers isn't just a trend. It's an essential part of modern reputation management and brand growth. Let's explore how to use public relations to build credibility, how to choose the right influencers to represent your values, and how to navigate the important things like compliance and ethics while still making an impact. The three topics that we're going to talk about today are the changing landscape, because my goodness, it is changing every day and night, influencers, and PR. So let's start with actually defining the evolving media landscape. It's defined by ongoing transformation in how media is created, distributed, consumed, and monetized due to technological advances, both shifting audience behaviors and changes in the full industry structures. The most important thing you can do is understand the basic functionalities of each platform and how they can help you. There's a reason to be, there's a reason to exist for all of them. It would be kind of weird to go into or to have a patient come in and have them to post, just saw my favorite doc, oh my gosh, so excited, heart, and it's on LinkedIn. However, that kind of post would be totally fine on Instagram or on X. So really understanding what these platforms are and what they can do for you in your practice is like 3/4 of the battle. They have very specific purposes and reasons to be. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, they have really disrupted old models. They've completely changed the game in the rise of social media. Social platforms are now considered trusted sources of news and entertainment, and that breaks my heart to say out loud, but it's the truth, for better or for worse. The ease of publishing and sharing content online with platforms like Reddit has led to really quick information with underlying concerns over misinformation and declining trust in the media. The role of trust and credibility in skincare and medical messaging is more important now than it ever was before. Let's talk a little bit about influencer marketing. What's hot, what's not, and who should you be partnering with? As you can see from the outline here, there are a lot of ways to approach influencers. There are macro influencers or your mega influencers who are like your celebrity level and the ones that everyone's always dying to partner with, all the way on down to your consumers and even internal teams. The wild world of influencer marketing is really I like to call it an onion because there are so many layers. Let's start with why they matter to patients and consumers even to begin with. Influencers play a powerful role, for better or for worse, in shaping perceptions, behaviors, and decisions, especially in today's digital-first world where people often turn to social media first for health advice before consulting a professional. There are a lot of differences between the macro, micro, and niche influencers, as I previously mentioned. They all have their own roles and their own opportunities to be a part of your strategy, especially if you use them the right way. Brands and clinics are favoring smaller creators, funny enough, those with tens of thousands or even under 10,000 followers. That's because of their genuine connections, their niche appeal, their high engagement rates, their local influence. They're actually the true ones who can drive interest and patients into your practice. Long-term partnerships with these influencers are increasingly delivering strong ROI. Brands are prioritizing deeper, sustained collaborations over one-off campaigns, nothing that's just a drop in the bucket. Some influencers are even serving as advisors or equity partners, enhancing authenticity and alignment. Lastly, there's the dermfluencer or the TikTok doc, the healthcare provider as influencer who gets to build your own platform. This is the biggest area of opportunity, hands down, for healthcare providers, because no consumer-level influencer can beat your education or your experience. They'll be the first ones to spread misinformation, but you can be the first ones to debunk it. So, to recap, what's hot? Micro, nano creators with niche engaged audiences, yes. Shoppable content and live commerce, yes. AI tools, long-term strategic partnerships, even employee and user-generated content, yes. What's not? These one-off flashy campaigns that lack authenticity. Your consumer, your patients are looking for real people, real testimonials, and just something to hang on to and to trust. Influencer fraud and fake engagement, it's a real thing. Transactional pay-for-post deals. Overly produced, polished content mismatched with brand authenticity. All of this to say, the more in line that the influencers are with your work and what you believe in, the better off you're going to be in the end. Public relations, building credibility and awareness. This is one of my favorite topics in conversation. I think it's really important that we first define what does it even mean in the medical space. It refers to the strategic communication efforts used by healthcare organizations, hospitals, medical professionals, pharmaceutical companies, laser companies, to build and maintain a positive public image. It also allows you to manage reputation, foster trust with various audiences. The key roles of PR include building trust and credibility for you, your practice, or the brand that you're representing, creating educational content that informs patients and communities, positioning healthcare providers as trustworthy sources, as the trustworthy resource, announcing new treatments, technologies, or services to attract patients or partners. There are a lot of ways to build your own PR campaigns, both nationally and locally. Press outreach and meeting with these editors can be a resource for their stories. Strategic alliances with brands like InMode, award submissions, industry sponsorships, and so much more. I've broken down some of the priorities that you should be considering, especially if you're considering yourself for your own practice, and how you could support brands like InMode. Your pitching, press, intimate media meetings. The reality of the situation is that the media is everywhere. The influencers are everywhere. They're right in your hometown, right in your backyards. Let's figure out who they are. Let's have conversations with them. Invite them into your office. Invite them into your practices. Even more importantly, treat them. Those editors are going to write about people that they love to work with. They're real people too. Same goes for influencers. We do a ton of work in local areas where we have local influencers who have a ton of followers that happen to be in that space. Come in for the office, do a tour, run it all on social media. That is worth more than what a macro influencer is going to get you on a local level, because they are going to be the ones that drive your local awareness. And that is key for any office. There are a lot of ways to build your own PR campaigns, that's for sure. And I think that probably the most important thing you can do is take a step back, decide what platforms you want to work with to begin with, because as mentioned earlier, the priority really has to be understanding which one makes the most sense for you and why, and then starting to engage with those editors and those influencers on a very local basis. This is a very, very light example, because there could be thousands of these slides of what the right kind of PR can do for a brand and for our healthcare providers. We are blessed to be able to work with some of the top doctors across the United States, and the reality of the situation is that a lot of our efforts from a public relations perspective would be absolutely impossible without all of you. I mentioned this earlier, but I do think it's important to bring back up that you are the experts in this space. There's a lot of chaos and confusion out there because of influencers. And debunking myths is first and top of our list, because we want to make sure that we're really guiding the conversations and authentically communicating with our target consumers and our patients. So to recap, I'm going to leave you with this. Trust is everything in medicine. PR and influencer marketing can help build, maintain, and protect that trust when it's done right. It can position physicians as thought leaders, which again is the #1 opportunity for all of you in this room. Enhance a practice's visibility and credibility. Improve patient education and engagement. Land placements in local and national media. It can help when we do it right. Now, with that said, I am going to play a little video for you next to kick off the second portion of this talk.
She learned to sew when she was 13 years old, and she turned that skill into a multi-million-dollar fashion business.
You know the name, a force in the fashion industry.
Please welcome Rebecca Minkoff.
From handbags to shoes, home goods, and more, Rebecca Minkoff has made it. But for the famous fashion designer, the runway to success was more like a long walk.
20 years ago, I designed my first handbag without knowing it would change everything. It never starts out the way you intended. I originally made the bag and designed it for a celebrity who was going to be in a movie. It was going to be my one chance to make it big. I decided to sell the bag. Daily Candy found out about it. A prominent stylist put it in her store in LA. And from there, it was like something that launched out of a rocket ship.
So Rebecca and I are standing before the Optimus Max platform. One of the key components of it is the Forma, which we'll be performing today. And it's great at building collagen, tightening skin. It's a pretty comfortable experience. So we're about to start treatment with the Morpheus 8 Body, which allowed me to treat at 3 different depths with microneedling and RF radio frequency in order to maximize skin tightening in an area.
Next up, I am so excited to introduce entrepreneur and designer Rebecca Minkoff. I'm going to invite her on up here onto the stage to join me for an intimate chat. Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
We're doing good. I'm glad the
Doing
video
good?
was fixed.
Some energy. We're getting there.
Yes.
We're getting it back, if you will. All right. I'm so excited to be doing this. This is going to be great. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you've experienced as a founder.
I think if I were to share all of them with you, you'd probably run out of the room. But the notable ones was when we first started out, we couldn't afford quality control. And we were working overseas with our first factory. And I was like, well, they make for Michael Kors and Kate Spade and Tory Burch. They have quality control, right? Wrong. There was a very popular forum at the time when this was, again, before social media. So women would log on and write about their passion for handbags, excuse me. And they said, we've given Rebecca a new nickname. It's called Quebeca Spankoff because there's Kate Spade hardware in her bags. And I had to go to Saks Fifth Avenue and inspect it for myself, and lo and behold, Kate Spade hardware on the interior of a Rebecca Minkoff bag. And to call your buyer at Saks Fifth Avenue and say, I'm so sorry, this is the most mortifying thing ever. And then I was like, how do I get rid of these bags? How do I have them sell through? Because if we take them all back, we'll go out of business. And so I was like, Willy Wonka time, you get a bag from one of these stores, I'll send you a free one on behalf of my factory. And so that was definitely hard. And there were moments like that. You know, I have a newsletter on LinkedIn called You Can't Make This Shit Up, because as founders, we experience a lot of these moments. I think another signal moment was cash flow. You know, we bootstrapped for the first 9 years 7 years. And to do that when you're constantly trying to be creative is really hard. You know, when you're using and rubbing pennies together to do things and be out there, and then not know if you're going to make payroll.
Wow, unbelievable. So how do you separate the Rebecca Minkoff brand from your personal brand? Because that's got to be hard.
Yes, so I had to disassociate from my name when we sold the company. We sold a piece of the company in 2012. And from that moment on, I had to say, okay, there's a name and a brand out there, and I am that woman living that lifestyle, but then I am also my own person. And that person has other extracurricular interests and activities. And obviously, the two things clearly intersect and overlap. But I think there had to be a sort of a line in the sand of, if you take me, and not to sound like I'm talking only about myself, and if I'm in New York City and I'm at the pinnacle and the most fashion forward for our girl, how do we distill that and sort of create almost like a pyramid of what it looks like for a woman in Idaho or Missouri or Wyoming, where fashion isn't as accessible or affordable? And so I sort of said, okay, good, if I'm the most concentrated version, what does it look like as you distill it down? It's distilled down by a stud on a flip-flop, right? And so as long as it talks back to the mothership in some way of, we're known for bohemian, edgy designs, studs, zippers, tassels, a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of masculine, feminine. As long as that connectivity is happening, then we're able to expand what it looks like for people who don't have access to the fashion that exists in a lot of our cities. And then, the person is who I am. As I've gotten older, like, I try to infuse into the brand things that are important to me. Women are important to me. Female founders are important to me. Making sure mothers are supported in the workplace is important to me. So all that goes into the brand as different pillars that show up, whether it's my nonprofit Female Founder Collective, or my podcast, Superwomen, where you can get a dose of daily inspiration from other women that have done hard things, or my newsletters. And so I think I'm trying to touch all those aspects using the brand, but definitely having more depth than just trying to sell you a bag, which all of you should definitely get a bag today.
That's a big puzzle, and that must make social media really hard. So how do you stay authentic on social media, making sure it's a balance between what I assume is yourself and your brand?
So for the longest time, we just had one handle. It was just Rebecca Minkoff, and it became hard to push all the messages that are important to me on one channel. So now that channel has sort of been clarified, it's also not owned by me anymore, even though I run the channel. And so, that is very clearly its brand. It's me as the spokesperson. It's me as the designer. It's my podcast. And then when we have big, important Female Founder Collective events, then we're showcasing that. I think where I've grown my personal is I'm very much into health and wellness, motherhood, weightlifting, anything that's sort of ancillary to that doesn't make sense then goes on my personal, and that's a channel I control and own. And you get different slices of my life on both. If you want to feel like you get the full picture. Got it. And the other thing I'll say is you sort of have to get your discipline in, because there's this desire to just show everything. Right. But, me showing my kids misbehaving at a restaurant doesn't make anyone want to buy a bag or aspire. So I think it's also being really clear on what makes a woman want to buy into your brand. And that doesn't mean you're fake. It just means you're authentic about what would inspire her. What would be, I could entertain her and make her laugh. Does that make her want to buy a bag or be a part of the brand? Not necessarily. So it's also getting clear on what you're showing and how you show it. And you don't have to show everything to everybody. You don't have to lift up your pants all the time. It's okay.
So I guess it's fair to say that there's glistenings of just like a deeper understanding of who that target customer is on both channels, no matter what, right? It's going to always follow you.
Yeah, and you have to, a couple years ago, I did like a follow me all weekend, see my kids misbehaving, see me doing the ugly mom in the morning without coffee look. And the views were 10 times higher.
Wow.
But it's not going to convert someone necessarily into what you want them to do. It's going to entertain them. It's going to make them laugh.
Right.
But so I think you also have to know your value proposition when you're showcasing that stuff. What is the purpose of it?
Right. Being authentic and how it's actually going to service you or service the brand. So relevancy is a conversation that constantly and consistently comes up. It's actually something that drives me crazy. But how do you continue to stay relevant day in and day out? Because that is a job in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Especially when it comes to the ever-changing landscape of social media, which we all just learned about because we paid very close attention to my presentation.
I think I try and channel Madonna. She's always reinvented herself. Every album was a reinvention. Every song now, single is a reinvention, and it's exhausting. And it's up to me. I don't have someone telling me what the next thing is, and so I'm constantly like, what am I feeling that's out there that's happening? You know, what we're gonna do for Fashion Week is something I wanted to do probably a year ago, but we couldn't figure it out in time. We're launching stadium approved bags. And so how do we fully make that an ownable moment for our brand? And I don't have anything planned for after that, but you better believe my wheels are turning like, how am I going to be relevant for next February for Fashion Week? Well, there's a woman who has this crazy cult-like following of girls that play trivia games on Zoom. And her following is insane and her engagement is insane. So it's like, how do I partner with people that are doing new and cool, interesting things? Because to do the norm now is really costly. You know, to do a regular traditional fashion show, bare bones is $250,000, and that's without doing anything extravagant. Wow. So if you don't have that kind of funding, which we don't do, how are you creative and lean and nimble in doing these things? And you know, we're doing our big Fashion Week activation for under $50,000, and it's going to be a huge, exciting endeavor. So I think thinking like that also doesn't mean you have tons of dollars to spend. We've never had huge budgets ever, and so you have to get really creative too.
I'm really excited about that stadium bag.
Me too.
I'm going to the US Open tomorrow. I could really use it. Okay, so can you talk to us a little bit about your experience with InMode as a brand and just overall as a partner?
Yeah. So I would find myself really distracted on all my Zooms and my recordings, and I'd be going like this a lot. And I would be like picking at my neck, going like, oh my God, this is terrible. I need to do something about this. So I was really excited when I tried Forma and instantly saw my turkey neck go away. And so that was just like something that for me is life-changing. And then I've been getting my Morpheus on my stomach. I have 4 kids. Things don't look the way they did. And so I'm in the middle of my treatments there. And so I'm excited to see the results come through because I don't want to get a tummy tuck. I don't want that scar. And so this is my way to hopefully get that elasticity back and have it not look like one of those puppies with all the wrinkles. After my treatments. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure, no pressure. We're ready. Okay, wow. This has been incredible. So thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave the audience with any parting words before we wrap up?
Well, I would say that you are all in an incredible industry that I feel like is only getting hotter by the moment, due to the fuel of social media and women never feeling satisfied with our looks. And I would just continue to say, like, enjoy that ride, because I think beauty is an incredible business to be in right now. I wish I was in it. Maybe one day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me.